What's good, party people? This is the second episode of the Woods and Wade podcast. I'm Gordon Woods, and she is Claudia Wade, and we are talking about friendships and the dynamics that a friendship goes through when a life event happens. I mean, take it, you were best friends, and then you get a new job. You get your best friends, and then you get in a relationship. You're best friends, and you move away. You're best friends, and you have a baby, and all of these things changes the dynamic of a particular friendship. Would you say?
Yeah, I think I've come across this quite recently, and it made me think like friendships change so much as you get older, and just the dynamic of that change. Like you think like, how did this change happen? And then you realize like everything's changing, but
Yeah,
should your friendships change, right?
yeah, absolutely. Which I almost want to say, because like I have a weird relationship with this relationships. I've moved around a lot. So uh, my my interactions are very transient. Outside of like my parents and my sister, everything is moving parts. Although my wife and I have been together for nearly 20 years, so outside of my parents and my sister, that is my longest relationship ever. And the
Right,
checking
same
in,
here.
yeah, and checking in, how are you, or whatever. That is not, if you don't live in my household, it it's pulling teeth with me to do, and I try to do it, and and most people talk about social media, but if not for social media, I wouldn't be able to keep tabs on people, a reminder of people's birthdays, all of this
Right,
stuff,
right, right.
what they're going through in their lives and whatever. And so when I see them, like I'm already briefed on what the hell is going on.
Right. But I think also there's this thing where you have certain friendships, certain people that you can talk to 3 days later or 3 years later, and it's like you just saw them yesterday, right?
Yeah.
And those relationships are fine because that's just the dynamic of that specific relationship, and that's fine. But what I've come to realize is that when we have those really, really close relationships, like I have my best friend that I've been friends with him since I was 14.
Mm.
He's in the military, so he moves everywhere. And now he's married, has two kids as well. We both had kids at the same time. And it's crazy because I think his daughter is a couple of months older than Xavier, and the baby is only a month older than my youngest.
Okay. Yeah,
But
yeah.
through these, I'm 42 now, and we've always stayed connected
Right.
through every country, every state, every move, every deployment. We've always stayed connected. And then you have those friendships that are like right next door, and you're supposed to be best friends, and you tell the world you're best friends, but you don't call me, right? Sometimes those relationships are one way. And I think we set ourselves up to fail. Like you said, we've both been in our relationships over about 20 years. It'll be 19 years for me next year.
Yes.
And
Congratulations.
so, likewise. And so, what I've realized is that when I came into my relationship, I didn't pause my friends, right? And I think that's one thing that I don't know if guys do this, but for sure girls do this. Oh, I can't go out because I'm going on a date. Oh, well, I can't hang out this weekend like we have planned because so and so wants to go on this date. So we, as females, we pause our friendships for this new person.
Mm.
And so then this new person has the expectation that we always have time for them. But then now we get into this relationship, we want to bring our friends back in, and we're like, wait, you never had this when we first started dating. So now we leave our friends behind to be in this relationship, right? So I think
Mm.
that's the one thing that I'm learning is that we fuck up in that aspect.
Oh,
Is that we leave our friendships to the side until they are convenient to bring it back. And then by that time, I'm like, bro, fuck off. You put
Yeah,
me on the sideline,
yeah.
right?
Well, I mean, it's weird, and we gotta shout out our friend from down under, Micmac, said, "Hey, baby," and in my head, it's "Hey, baby, fuck your life, Bing Bong." That's what I'm going with. Um, no, but so I'm not like most guys, and so cliche to say, right? No, but
Right.
like I, in the sense that I have friends, and even family and close relationships. But if you're right here, we're here, right? But if
Right.
you kind of separated by distance or phone or social media, then it gets weird. And I recently, like, this might be my emotional intelligence at this point, but I I communicate in gifts. The fucking I don't say yes. It's a Brian Danielson yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Like that's as emotional as I can fathom at this juncture
Right.
of my life, right? But for me, because my dynamic was so small, right? And we moved so many places, right? Like, different countries. We were in Fiji for a bit, Indiana, Las Vegas, New Mexico, Georgia, and born in the Bay. I never thought, and it's crazy. I was actually talking to one of my dad's friends, and he's like an uncle to me, but
Hmm.
I was a NorCal kid. I despised every time the Giants played the Dodgers. I was like, don't bring the Dodgers around me. It's all about the Giants, all about the Niners and all that stuff, the crosstown rivalry, Oakland A's and the Giants and everything like that. And even that, right? Like my dad's gone, my mom is gone, and also the dynamic was like the way that we know this person. Um, is my dad was a street performer, right? He played keyboard and music at Fisherman's Wharf in the Bay Area, and my
Hmm.
mom sold got the tips. He sold the CDs and tapes and everything like that.
Hmm.
And this gentleman and his wife, at the time, they made jewelry, and much like you and your best friend, they had kids about the same age as myself and my sister, and we saw each other, for 12 hours, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday when they're tourists, trying to do the same thing and, get, I guess the kids say the bag, you know.
Right.
So, we touched bases with him last week, and it was amazing to see, and how much, like, I mean, literally 29 years have passed since I've seen him last.
Hmm.
And, you know, it was like nothing. It was like that's my Uncle Bert. I'm the nephew.
It's like you just talked to him yesterday.
Right. But the thing
Yeah.
about it, yeah. But yesterday I was 8.
Right.
I couldn't say fuck around him, which I could, and we both kind of giggled at the fact, like I'm saying fuck. But for again, for me, the relationships have been very transient outside of the dynamic of my parents,
Hmm.
myself, and my sister, right? And then my parents are gone now. And, at this stage of my life, I'm like, what the fuck? And I see people go on vacations. I see whatever, and I, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to get out of the daily day.
Bubble.
Yeah,
Does
exactly.
your so you're at homebody?
Not so much because I do like to go out. When
Yeah.
I go out, it's
You're
amazing.
always working when you go out.
Yeah, that too. That too.
You go with purpose.
Yeah, 100%. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I'm a horrible romantic because like I to me it's the little things. Like I will remember your favorite perfume or whatever and get that for you. Like I have a cousin, right? I know he likes the Raiders.
Hmm.
I despise the Raiders, but I will get him every year for his birthday some sort of, knowing that it's from me, right?
Right.
Raider piece of memorabilia or whatever. Like, like this year was a Raider, but also like with flowers, right? Like
Mhm.
Polynesian flowers. I'm part Polynesian. The part of me that isn't related to him is Polynesian, and
Right.
he got married in Hawaii and everything, and out of all my dad's side of the family has really kind of come into the island culture. So I did that, and that's me. Like, I'm the one that, out of the kids, they'll tell me in January, I want this. It might take me 12 months to do, but that's exactly what's going to be either on your birthday wrapper or under the Christmas tree.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, I see. I need to be out. I have to be out. I need to do things, and I think that's how my kids are gonna be. And Jason's a homebody, and he is very comfortable with being at home. I'm like, I need to get out,
Mm,
and so for me, is adamant to make sure that. Well, now that I have kids, I'm like, I need to make sure my kids are around people that have kids,
right.
because now the other thing is, now that you have kids, you don't relate, right? There's certain things you don't relate with your friends, and it's like, oh, we should go out for a drink. I was like, I have two children with me. Oh, we should. Da, 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 da. I can't leave after a certain hour. Come
Mm,
over after. I have to be back at home at 7:30. They have a bath. I don't care what I'm doing. My kids have to be in the bath at 7:30. My life is over. So
mm.
there's that, right? There's that dynamic of like, well, now we don't have anything in common because now you're always on a schedule with kids, or you're always on their time. And if your friends don't have kids, or their kids are way older than yours, it's kind of like, eh, that is what it is at this point,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, there's something to that. Like has said Christina, it says, Adam, no, you just didn't talk about my Dodgers. Again, I grew up a NorCal kid. Don't. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Nothing wrong with the Dodgers. I mean, I live minutes away from Dodger Stadium now. Have a strong affinity after being in LA for what, since I was 9. So yeah, I mean, Dodgers, hell yes. But you know, uh, you
Go
know,
Dodgers, Christina.
yeah,
Go Dodgers.
yeah, exactly.
Dodgers all the
And,
way.
oh, your parents are watching from heaven. Oh, Mario Yamasaki's there, Christina. I love it. And Mick Mac says, I left my chocolate milk carton in the car for 2 weeks and it exploded yesterday. How do I get the smell out? I think you should put a skunk in your car, and agitate it. Like just piss it off and it sprays all over. And guess what will happen? You'll forget about the spoiled milk that's in your car.
Or maybe vinegar.
I guess.
I don't know if that really works actually, to be quite honest.
Beet juice. Why don't you just spray it? You get a whole like
Just spray vinegar
yeah,
everywhere.
exactly.
Listen, all of these home hacks always have vinegar involved. So I figure go with vinegar and maybe some baking soda,
okay,
chocolate chips. I'm
but
not sure.
also it's in the rap. Euphemism is in baking. Wasn't that the guy who was making cocaine? It's like baking soda. There was a song.
I
There
don't
was a
know.
song about the baking soda.
Well, then, if all fails, you'll have cocaine at the end of the
There we
cleanup,
go.
and
So
then you won't even remember about the smell of the milk.
there we
You're
go. So follow us for more
it.
side hustles. Apparently.
Yeah.
There we go. And LOL, still got mad love, Adam. Samesies. And yes,
It
CC,
does
it was
really.
work.
See,
Okay,
vinegar
so
works.
just you're gonna spray vinegar on everything. I bought my wife a whole bunch of like Lysol cartridge packs because she said she didn't wanted Lysol and
Uh-huh.
whatever. So maybe I should have just got her a shit ton of vinegar.
I'm telling. I literally, before we got on, I was looking at all these hacks, and it was like vinegar and baking soda with everything. Like to clean anything is vinegar. Mind you, I've tried it and it doesn't work for me, but maybe I'm just not doing it right. Who freaking knows?
I don't know. I don't know.
Who
But
freaking
yeah,
knows?
so like relationships are weird, and you were talking about having kids and what have you. Like for me, and this is also the way that I was raised, right? Where like my parents, it was the '80s, right? And my parents brought my sister and I everywhere.
Right.
Like most people are like, "Oh, you got to listen to this like motivational speaker." Like I've had my lifetime fill of like motivational speakers because if you're a motivational speaker and you came through California, San Francisco specifically, from 1982 when my parents, 83 when my parents got married, so when we left in 93, we went to your seminar. I don't, it was Raymond Burr from Perry Mason. It was Don Lepre, the home guy. There was Tony Robbins and then the Asian guy that's just like, "I, you suck. I have big boat and lots of women and whatever, and you're
Right.
American. You suck." Well, because they were trying to figure it out. My dad from Indiana, my mom from Fiji. There's and they're in this big
How do I
city.
rank these kids? Let's just take them to
Take them
motivational.
there for like motivational speaking, and then also my dad's work Friday. My dad didn't work through the week. He didn't have a normal punch in, punch out job
Right.
like everyone else, right? He was a street performer, and Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, or when the tourists came, and it's funny because
Right.
then people are like, "Oh, I'm from the streets" or whatever, and I'm just like, "Yeah, that doesn't mean I'm from the streets. That doesn't mean you have to act ignorant or whatever."
I
Like,
am definitely not from the streets.
oh, oh.
I am for sure. I mean, I've lived in Inglewood all my life, right? I've lived in Inglewood my entire life. I am definitely not street.
Okay.
Although people think I am or that I can be because of my attitude, and that's fine. My husband tells me all the time, he's like, Claudia, why are people scared of you? They can't be scared of you. And don't nobody listen to me. This is a secret. If people are scared of me, that's fine. I like it because I'm 4'11". And if they're not scared of me, then I don't have nothing.
Hmm.
Right? I'm 4'11" and I'm short and I can just punk anyone and it's fine. Like, don't mess that up for me. So, but I have in a few face, and so I run with it.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, I think it was the great Jim Cornette that has said, "If you can't work your gimmick, you can't work. So if you got the gimmick, you might as
Right.
well use it."
Yeah.
Oh
Well, my
yes.
husband keeps messing that up and telling everyone that I'm harmless, but sir,
Yeah.
don't
Did
mess
the
up.
Undertaker's wife say, "Oh, it's just Mark sitting at home on the couch drinking beers"? No, he's the fucking dead man. Come
Right.
on.
That's what I'm saying,
I'm
man.
just saying. Right. I'm just saying. Yeah. I laugh when anybody's like, "Oh, you're a hood." I'm like, sound like this. Just I know there's no hood in it. But I grew up in Englewood, man. Like
Yeah,
much
that's
like
what
you,
I'm saying.
you
Like,
you you know, like
both grew up in Inglewood,
yeah,
and like,
exactly.
and people, would you guys? Every time someone asks you, isn't white vinegar normal vinegar?
I'm gonna go say apple cider vinegar because I feel
No,
like,
no, no. Apple cider vinegar has a really wait. Like, I don't know. I know
well,
nothing.
you know what? After Beyonce said like apple cider vinegar and honey, whatever, well, is a weight loss
Clear your
some odd,
throat.
whatever the fuck. I feel like
Why don't you
everybody,
do like the front part with apple cider vinegar and the back part with the white vinegar, and then see which one takes off the smell?
I say pickle
Or
juice
opposite.
has vinegar in it. So why don't you eat a pickle and then barf it in your car? There you go.
Do you know that people eat or drink pickle juice?
Yeah, as a
For,
as a rehydration gimmick. Yeah,
yeah, for like
like
when
instead of
you're.
Gatorade or coconut water or
I
whatever.
know, isn't that weird? But I did a half marathon at one point in my life, and people carry little salt packages, like the ones you get at the whatever at the fast food places, at the mom and pop ones, because you're not going to get that at McDonald's. But the little salt packages, and people carry those. So when you start feeling dehydrated, you start just chugging salt, which is better than carrying around protein bars. But yes, salt is a thing.
You know what? As a vertically challenged person myself, I will take none of it from you, Claudia. Short salt packets and a half marathon and your 411. No more shirt jokes for you.
What? What is that my fault? Look, it was a time.
You didn't get it. You said you're 411
Yes, I got
short
you.
and then a half marathon, not a
Yes.
full.
Well,
10
I can't
points.
do a full. Do you know how long it'll take me to do a full?
I don't know because I'm not gonna like tough murders and no. Like I grew up like this in the hood. That's all the survival
Look,
training I
I
need.
did all this and I can never like reach the bars. So and so I did damn, which one is it? I did one of them and the first you had to
Spartans.
go you had to go over an obstacle to get to the start line. And I was like, I can't reach the wall. So, luckily for me, my husband's 6 feet tall and so but yes, everything short is good. Is what
Yeah.
I was going for.
See, I don't understand the concept of any of it. Like, why would you pay for? And this is also somebody that like wants to compete in jujitsu, so I know there's a little bit of fuckery there, right? But like to pay somebody to get fucked up for a medal, which is essentially every jiu-jitsu tournament ever. But I digress, right? But like to me, like having a good credit score, that's tough enough. Like overcoming being an ethnic, that's tough enough. Like the fuck, I want to go for the mud and shit. Fuck all that.
I
I'm
was
sorry.
a metal whore. I literally did a run or a obstacle course type or a fun run or it didn't matter what it was. I had one like every weekend. As a matter of fact, I did like a turkey one, like the morning of Thanksgiving. And like, so I was done by 10 a.m. So I went home. Oh, no, I did that one and then went to UFC gym to work out because they were having a Thanksgiving workout. Which shout out to UFC. I love UFC in Torrance. They helped me lose a good 80 pounds in about a year. Shout out to them. But it was like, and then that was the other thing, right? I was working out and I was doing all these runs and I was doing all these other shit. And so I became a metal whore. And if there was a medal involved, I was going to get it. Like, it was like, I will take a picture of my medal box and you're going to be like, what the fuck is wrong with this bitch?
And each
But
one of them are like $200 a piece, right?
no, not all of them. Some of them, I'm going to
Half of
say,
them.
no, I'm going to say between 20 and maybe 200, right?
Okay.
So like the local ones will cost you 20 bucks, 50
Okay.
bucks. And a lot of that money also goes to, I only did the ones that went to specific organizations. So if it was going to be St. Jude, I did one of those. If it was going to go to a kids foundation, whatever it was, it had to go to something. Like a portion of my pain had to go to something.
Okay.
So it was for a good cause eventually. I won't.
Making yourself a martyr. All right, yeah,
Yes.
100%. I'm with it.
Yeah.
And Mick Mac wants to know why is Adam wearing a hat inside? Because my hair is fugly. And before I did have I got something to fix it to remedy the situation because even the missus is like, the fuck you look like a bear.
You
She
should put
doesn't.
vinegar in it.
She doesn't do the cursing, so I do enough of it for the both of us. But it wasn't profane as I said it. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but yeah, I look like Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear under here. So
You should just put vinegar on it.
there you go, 100%. Maybe I should do that. Yeah, see, we're
See what
solving
happens?
problems. But
Yeah.
also, I mean, does vinegar help mend relationships that become splintered of some sort? Because, and here's
I'm
the
not
other.
gonna try it.
Yeah, well, I don't know, man. I like poop style, like spraying people with
Right.
vinegar and whatever. No, like what I was alluding to, right? Like I've never, and maybe this is also a defect in my personality,
Mhm.
but I've never needed anyone to be there for me. Like I
Mhm.
just assumed that nobody was gonna be there, and I
Right.
also get surprised when people are like, "Nah, why didn't you call me?" or whatever. I'm like,
Why
I
didn't you
didn't,
call me?
I didn't know you. I could. I didn't,
Right.
Um, yeah, and that's my deal, and I'm hearing it more and more often that like I don't value like myself because like people see me a certain way, but I don't see myself and whatever. But that also could be construed on why managing relationships is weird for me, like checking in with people and I man, I'm
And see,
this
I'm
is
the opposite, right? Like I check in on people all the time. And then when people don't check in on me, I'm like, well, if we're friends, you should be checking out on me. I don't even care if it's like, you don't have to call me. You can text me like, you're good? Yeah, cool. Talk to you in a week. That's it. Like,
mm,
that's all
mm,
you really need. If you can post on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all these other shits, you can take 2 seconds to text me and say, hey, just want to say hi. Boom.
eh. Well, see,
Right?
and McBack says, Adam, you're a good looking rooster. Not as good looking as Terry Tate or. There's a red rooster joke there. You got to look into it. But um, yeah, for me, I'm not that like that doesn't compute to me. And for me, I will post on a dumb shit meme or a podcast or whatever, and I usually don't even read the comments. But then sometimes like if a certain person comments directly or whatever, well then like a meme that I can't show on the socials, on the main pages and whatever, then
Is
I'll DM them and
that.
whatever. And to me, that's as like invasive as I get. Like I, sharing memes and whatever. And again, this might be my emotional infancy.
Disconnect?
Yeah, 100%. That's it.
Yeah.
Um, oh, the missus is like, preach sister. Yeah, Mary is that where she has to have people and people checking in.
Is it
I'm not.
is it one of those things that you're afraid that, and then I do this a lot, right? Like I get really close and attached to certain people or the people that I've been attached to for years. There's an expectation, right? There's an expectation that, again, I don't have to talk to you every day. I don't have to talk to you every month, but it's cool to check in. Like when I moved back to LA, everyone was like, "Yo, you're back. Like let's get together. You're back. Like let's go. You're back." Like everyone was excited that I was back. And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, no worries." And they're like, let's do stuff, right? Including you. You were like, "Yeah, dude, I'm you're back in LA. Let's make some shit happen." And that expectation of people telling me let's make that shit happen, but they're not coming back is annoying to me
Mm,
versus you that you are emotionally detached. There is no expectation. So you don't get butthurt about not being called after telling, I'm gonna call you tomorrow, we're gonna handle it, and then be canceled or I never heard from you, right? So
right.
I think it's good to be the way you are, and then also it's a little bad.
Yeah, no, 100%. Well, I mean, just as you said it, like I mean, we've kind of been even when you had your previous podcast, like and I would listen, and I'm like, shit, she's so much better at this than I am. Like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, and I would go into like a MMA show with like literally 20 matches on the card, and you have to interview half of them that won. And I'm like, fucking Claudia's better than I. Like, oh, son of a bitch, right? And yeah, and like this has kind of been like almost 5 years in the making,
Mhm.
theoretically speaking. And it's funny when you're like, like,
Yeah.
and it's funny because like we've been in our respective relationships, like closing in on 20 years, but like you and I know each other. Like our first episode, I still called you your surname of Castro
Yeah.
because that's how I knew you as, you know.
Right.
And it doesn't seem all that long to me, you know. But
Right.
see, you know, my rubric is like, you know, one thing my dad, you know, and mom as well, you know, like if you say something, you better mean it, right? And like if like yeah, fuck, we're gonna do something, like fuck, we're gonna do something, and
Right.
that is, I guess, like I'd rather do that, you know, and fulfill that than like, oh fuck, like you know, like oh you're crying and shit. Like oh my wife, you know, when she gets down and I'm all like, oh I try to hug her and whatever, and it still doesn't work, and I'm like, oh fuck, I don't know, I'm useless, fuck, son of a bitch.
I think
That's
you
how
need
I
to.
get.
I think you need to give yourself a little bit more credit and be a little bit more nicer to yourself
eh,
so that you're able.
Maybe there might be something to it. There might be something
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah. I mean, I like I said, I've had this bitchy personality for ages until not too long ago, and then people are like, "Oh my god, you're nice now." What the fuck? I was nice before. The only difference is that you didn't know. I've never been nice, really. I've always been nice.
Okay, so again, you know, just to preface it, right? Um, again, you know, the first caster that I met is your lovely and dearly departed cousin Eric, and we
Eric.
were friends in middle school, right? And then like
And
he
it's
breaks
crazy because
away.
Eric is, has always been the tall, big dude who's just a giant teddy bear, and
Yeah,
he loved
you
love.
you reminded me much of my dad. My dad was very much like that, you know, six
Yeah,
four, you know, and I think that's also why, you know, like at a time where, you know, I'd met Eric, I wasn't, my dad and I were kind of oil and water, and it's weird because like my dad was the scholar musician and tall, and I was this little scrappy fuck that just wanted to fight everyone. Or when I
right.
didn't want to fight everyone, I wanted to watch people get fucked up. Like, and that's always been in my DNA. And again, there might be something
Just a
kind
little
of,
bit.
yeah, just a little bit. You know, I'm sure there could be a case study on just like my taste and everything.
There
Um,
could be a case study on everyone.
oh, 100%, 100%. I
Every
bet.
single one of us is a case.
Yeah, 100%. And you know, in the words of a particular singer of '80s and '90s, but you are not alone, right? So
Right.
if I'm fucked up, also you know, right? I'm just saying. Um, so yeah, like for me, as you know, and I can't speak for this person that you know has been your friend for so long or whatever, but for me, I get caught in my bullshit. Like you know,
Right.
I am a one track brain. You know, like during the pandemic, it wasn't like I was trying to outlap everybody or whatever, but like I gave myself an internal clock, and I was like, it didn't look like the world was going to get to any semblance of normal. Actually, it's rebounded way faster than I thought it was going to, because I
Hmm.
thought we were going to be there forever, and I was behaving as such. So for me, I was like, if things get back to normal, I want to be situated as such where you know, like I'm a trim blue podcaster. Like you know me as that guy that does
Right.
this, right? So and you know, I was at a point I was like I just challenged myself. It wasn't like what was like, oh, you're trying to get to more episodes than me or whatever. And I was like, no. Again, like the inefficiency. I don't think I'll ever feel like I'm good enough, and I don't know where that comes from because it wasn't my parents. My parents, you know, loved me, gave me that attention. Obviously there was a dynamic change when it was me, my mom, and dad until you know my sister, she was born, we're 3.5 years apart,
Hmm.
and obviously there's a dynamic change, and she's a girl, so she got some of that attention or whatever, but like I've always had a chip on my shoulder, you know, and then even you know living in Inglewood, right,
Hmm.
sounding like this, like I there was a point where I just got tired of telling everybody like the reason why I sound like a British black person, and my accent was a little bit more pronounced then than it is now. But I would just say like, like my family's from Fiji. Like, what's Fiji? Oh, like the apple. And I was like, no, that's Fuji in Japan, wrong island. But again, this is, late 90s, early 2000s Inglewood, where,
Right.
celebrities were going on vacation there. Who saw the Blue Lagoon?
Right.
Nobody. There wasn't Fiji water, right? So, there was that. So it was like an education. And also somebody who likes to be called Woods rather than Adam, because I got tired of, hey, Adam, where's Eve? And I would fight people just on that premise, right? So
Yeah,
when
just like, where are you from? Inglewood.
yeah,
Oh, it's
what was
no
it?
good.
Oh,
Shut the fuck
Jesus
up,
Christ.
people.
I'm just,
Shut
yeah,
the fuck up. That is
ditto,
the most annoying. That's how I tell people.
ditto.
Where are you from? Near LAX.
Oh, also the one that when I told her that I was dropping off my sister in Watts, hey, do you have a strap on your fucking hip? Okay, I'm gonna check you there. I'm gonna check you there, sister. I'm just saying.
Listen,
But so
no,
like,
but the funny part about that was that that sounds stupid coming out of my mouth because I don't sound like that.
I mean,
I sound nothing like that.
it happens.
Which
It
is
fucking
fucking
happens.
hilarious because I was like, this sounds dumb as shit.
Yeah, no, but
Because when people
but
ask me where are you from near LAX,
oh, this wow, LAX adjacent. I'm not there. I know Inglewood, and my mom worked for the city hall, and
always
like
up to no good.
like I yeah, but in any event, right? So I I bury myself in tasks
Mm-hmm.
to not have to get into an emotional level, right? But then if you're with me, I try to make that moment the fucking shit because I'm also not used to people sticking around. Like I'm a one trick pony. Like you're gonna think that I'm amazing the first time, and the fucking gimmick gets old. Like that's it. I'm a great first interview. Second interview, fuck. If I don't ace the first one, we're fucked.
But
Like yeah, like you know, um,
and see, I'm opposite, right? I'm like, Claudia, you're awesome. Like, yes, I know.
you want more. You want
What
more.
else do we have?
Oh,
Right, and I've always been like that. Now, internally, I might be like, no, I'm the worst thing ever, and I can't do anything, and I'm useless. But on the outside, I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking amazing. What the fuck you want? What do you expect? This is what I do. No matter what you put in front of me, I'm gonna be amazing at it. So if I'm not amazing at it, it's because it's not supposed to be mine. Period.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's two opposites, right? Like we're two
No,
complete.
100%.
But
And
the
I
thing,
never did. And but even when you were like, oh, people think you're mean and shit like that. Like, what I was getting to is like, yeah, knowing Eric, right? And then you and Joey, your brother, right? I know you through ROTC, so I saw the fucking meme. I was recipient of such
that's fine.
things, right? So like when people were
I
like,
know.
oh, you're
Listen,
actually nice or whatever. And I was like, also, as we've become adults, I was like, oh, she is nice. Because when we were in fucking high school, that shit wasn't real. I
and
was
listen,
like,
and that's the reaction I get from everyone. Like, oh shit, she's nice. What? Like this person has a personality. The fuck? She has something besides bitch mode. And so I had to learn how to not be on bitch mode all the time, right?
mm,
So it takes time. It takes
yeah.
time.
Oh, what
But
is
it
it?
also affects your friendships, right? Because I had friends that used to say, well, I was only your friend because I was scared of you. What? How rude of you. Like, ah,
Yeah.
so rude.
That's. I mean, but at least they were, they were being straight up with you. Like,
Like years later.
well, I mean, I guess this
In
is a weird kind
retrospect.
of ideology, but like, if you're in prison and your genitalia is kind of on borrowed time, like whatever, you might have to cozy up to somebody that you might not whatever out of fear.
Listen, my shit is bomb. No.
Okay.
You want it, you bet I'm top dog here.
Okay, I mean,
That's gonna be my attitude. I'm not sure
yeah,
how
but
to keep
somebody wants to cozy up to you. You prove that person's kind of deal. Like they
Yep.
cozied up to Top Dog until it was like, okay, I think I'm on
Right.
stable ground enough to say 5 years later, I'm only afraid of you. I mean, I'm only friends with you because I was afraid of you. Like fuck, you know. Just saying. Uh,
So
Mick Mac says yesterday I saw a guy spill his Scrabble letters on the road. I asked him, "What's the word on the street?" That's what I needed from Mick Mac. That's what Mick Mac comes with. And again, as you see his
was it white vinegar?
yeah, no, 100%. 100%. Um and that's why I work the Adam I work with, I call him Madam.
Madam.
That may or may not be the what he or she identifies with. They, them.
Let's not get into that one.
There you go. There you go.
Not
We're
getting into
moving
that.
on. We're moving on. There's a Seinfeld episode where Kramer says to George, "Hello,
Oh
madam."
man.
I there's
So,
there, it's funny because like not the biggest Seinfeld fan, but there's a couple episodes that speak out to me. There's the one where George tries to get fired, and he was working at the
the sports
Yankees,
place? Yeah.
yeah, the Yankees and whatever, and he drags the pendant, whatever the World Series trophy, he drags it behind the car, like he attaches it to a car and drives around Yankee Stadium and whatever, and he still doesn't get fired. And then this also could be the same episode, but there's one where he built a bed under his desk, and then George Steinbrenner, the former owner of the Yankees, was trying to go find him and whatever, and they're like, I'll just wait for him, and they brought the grandkids in and whatever, and George is sleeping under the desk, and that could be the same episode. I don't know. And then
I
there's the one,
I worked at a place where a guy actually did that.
really.
Yes, he had a sleeping bag underneath his desk,
You,
and when it was lunchtime, we had lunch. He took a nap. He was underneath his desk, pulled his chair in. Was that like light, like light bulb? Just
you could,
done.
yeah, he fell asleep. Um, yeah, I mean, both Costanza and the gent you're talking about.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, and they thought he was kidnapped because Kramer wrecked his car. There you go. Wow, McMack, I didn't think you were a Seinfeld historian. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah. So it's funny because like when I went to Bakersfield, when my wife and I first got together, it's had to be about 05, 06. And I'm good with words, horrible with numbers, so whatever. But I definitely know it was 05, 06, right? Um, but we moved out to Bakersfield. She had 3 kids from a previous marriage. It was cheaper, and then we were going, going to have Owen, right? So we were renting like a 2 bedroom, 1 bath house with a front yard, for $750. I
Damn.
had, yeah, I'd never heard of any of that in California. Again, from the Bay to SoCal, never
Right.
heard of anything like that. But Central Valley was where it's at. But like that whole time there, you know, it was weird because it seemed like everybody was like the people who moved on. They went to college, either out of state, even if they had gone to a local college like Dominguez Hills or UCLA, USC, Riverside, what Pomona,
Lenore.
whatever,
Yeah.
right? Um, they were out. They weren't in Inglewood. They were hanging out on campus and what have you, right? Or people got into relationships or got into the military that would take them away from whatever. So it was
Hmm.
like, there was like a good year and a half where the people who left, and
Right.
the people who stayed,
Right.
right? And the people who stayed, it always seemed like they figured it out, right? Like when I left Inglewood, the first time, to go to Bakersfield, it was like, man, I felt like there were so many people that I knew that were getting shot or ODing or
Mm-hmm.
man, there was a party I went to there. Like I saw a dude like face down in a, 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 a table full of illicit substances,
Right.
and I was like, this is gonna be weird. Like I'm fucking done with it, And to me, because I'd grown up just in the South Bay region, because growing up all over the place, I didn't want to. Once I got the homestead of Inglewood, I didn't want to leave. Like the furthest north that I went was Hollywood and Highland. The
Right.
furthest south that I went was Torrance. I didn't,
Right.
if my parent, my dad and stepmom went to Vegas, I wasn't there. And I also had fucking horrible traumas when I lived in Vegas that I didn't want any part of Vegas. That
Right.
Vegas was never going to be fun to me. So, um, you know, everybody that was, that stayed, it seemed like they had figured it out, how to skirt not being shot or getting in the gang or, getting in a fucked up ass relationship. Like all of the things that had plagued, some of us you know, that were around and whatever. Like they skirted it, and I was like, "Fuck! If I get back to LA, if I get back to LA, right?" And it seemed like there was so much happening, in the time that we were in Bakersfield. Like I mean, there we did 4 years, right? 4 years, and then we were in like Ventura area, kind of, then to San Diego, kind of, and then we went, and then we did like 2 years in the Valley, in like,
Too much moving.
yeah, no, 100%. But that's
Yeah.
yeah, no,
My
but
brain
that's
cannot function. Oh
but
my gosh.
but that's also where like friends and relationship that kind of is
Mhm.
in the back burner because like I'm just like fucking survive
You're
like
used to moving around and
yeah,
not.
and not even to say that I dig moving around because I don't like I don't want to go on vacation because I don't want to see anything new or I don't want to have that lag of oh fuck I have to get back to where you know like to recharge my batteries or whatever like I don't
But then
why don't
so that's my thing. Like now, I told my husband, so we have two kids. We're gonna go on vacation at least once a year. Ever since my mom passed away, I was like, no, we're not wasting our time working every day, just putting money aside for what? I was like, we're gonna die, and what happens? Nothing, right? And I was like, no, we're gonna take vacations. We're gonna take my dad out. We're gonna do different things, and we've taken the kids to Knott's. We went to Magic. I mean to Disney. We went to the aquarium, and we've been doing a bunch of little stuff that were involved with my dad and with the boys. And so it. I know there's a lot of people that are like, oh well, I can't do that because I have to work. I can't do that because of this, and it's fine. Um, but once I think like you start getting more into your families than friends, and it's like the families become your friends, and then you forget about your friends, right? So at this point, I'm just like, eh.
it's wild I just saw my dog piss on a box. The dog's an asshole. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there goes my wife. Um, it's the dog has tormented my wife all day. Oh shit. Yeah. Okay. But it's these things,
Did
right?
nothing, Peta.
Yeah,
Peta,
I know. Yeah,
she dropped the box.
yeah. It was a box. It was a fucking box. Um, no, but these things, right? Like vacations and everything. These are things that I'm realizing as my kids get older. The three older ones. Two of them are married. One has kids. And the youngest turned 15, right? And I see kind of like I don't want to say that they're antisocial, but they become like little me's. It's
Mhm.
even the ones that aren't like blood related.
Right.
have gotten a little bit of that, and I'm all like, fuck, did I fuck him up like by being a
Probably.
hermit? Thanks, right on. That's yeah, but you
You're
kind of
not
wonder. You kind of
Yeah,
wonder.
yeah, definitely. And I
Thanks.
think, and that's my thing. I'm like, I'm always out, and my youngest one or my oldest one, I'm like, you want to go out? And he's like, where are we going? We're like, he gets frustrated if he doesn't go out at least once a day. And even if my husband takes him out for a walk every day, and on the weekends I'll take him out for a walk, or we'll go do something. But for the most part, where'd you go? Oh, for
Your
the
single
most,
stream.
yeah, yeah. For the most part, it's I have to be out, and so that's what I want them to learn. I want them to learn that they can go out and not be afraid of things, or they can socialize. And my oldest is a social bug. Like, he wants to talk to everyone and say hi to everyone. So I think he's going to be a politician or something, because he's always out there. So
It's cool that you have that dynamic, and my sister and I are kind of there too, where and it's funny because we just kind of discuss like me being the hermit or whatever, but people view me as kind of the social person or whatever. But I also I, again, because I don't know when I'm gonna see you again. I'm gonna like admire the fuck out of you. I'm gonna love you and squeeze you and whatever,
yeah,
and and then not realize that your fucking eyes are bulging out and are bored you to death.
right. And then
You
you
know,
have to go home and recharge for days because you overdid it.
no, I'm not. I can do that every night,
Really?
every fucking night. Be that guy, and even like this, like we're it, like we're kind of going through like 15 years of trauma right now over the
It's
last
great.
50 minutes and whatever. This is as invasive as I've gotten in recent years.
I'm pretty open and traumatic when it comes to discussion. So get ready, because you're gonna air out your laundry out there.
Oh Jesus Christ, I'm gonna
You know what the thing is the whole thing about it's if we, like I told, like we spoke about it the first time, right? I said, if we don't speak about it, then how are other people going to speak about certain things, right?
right.
So it's always my thing. Like, my mental health is always first, and in order for me to be mentally happy or mentally at peace, I have to say what I'm going to say, how I'm going to say it. And it's not my job for you to like it, it's yours. Your opinion of what I say is yours. It does not affect me in any way, shape, or form,
Hmm.
right? So I think that is why I'm so open to anything, is because again, your opinion of what I think or say or do, it's your business, not mine. And it's
Yeah.
always been like that. And I think that's why I'm so like, yes, I am very awesome at what I do. Whatever it is, I'm awesome at it. Whether you think I'm awesome or not, that's your problem. But at this point, yes, I'm amazing.
No, yeah, and it's awesome that you have that
But
um
it didn't come easy.
oh no 100. Yeah, no, it's a learned thing. um oh, and Micmac, speaking of emotional intelligence, he's seen every episode of Seinfeld 10 times
Like
over.
10 times.
There you go. And
Yes.
remember, George took his in-laws to the Hamptons, driving for 4 hours till he got to the end, and said, "I have no house in the Hamptons." They said, "We know, we don't like you, George." Jesus Christ, that's that's some damn oof.
See,
Um,
now you have to tell us what episode that is so we can go find it and look
I
it
I
and watch
feel like,
it.
but
Because
I
now
feel
I'm curious.
he described it so well that I am emotionally emitting what George Costanza felt.
Right. But how did we get there? Is what I
Fuck,
want to know.
I don't know. I'm just fucking in the fetal position crying. Claudia and McMahon. Fuck.
Well, stop crying. Just
Don't
stay in the
tell me
fetal
to
position.
stop crying. I'm an emotional being. God,
That's a problem.
apparently. No, I mean, man, it's weird, right? So
Which
it
is crazy because as emotionally whatever you are, you would think that what we're talking about, specifically friendships, would affect you as to where I'm not that emotionally involved. And it
yeah.
affects the fact,
Oh.
right? So it's weird.
Yeah, no, I mean, but I mean, I think the great prophet Shrek said, "I'm like an onion. I got layers."
Right.
Right? It's just like anything, whether it be politics or financials or whatever. Right?
Mhm.
People think of they're a certain thing in a certain way, and it isn't that. It's all bound by your experiences. And if you're a sibling, right, like you and
Mhm.
I are, right, your experience with the same parents, you know versus your brothers and my sisters, kind of journey with the same parents are completely different,
Yeah,
because
that is mind-boggling to me how each sibling is different in so many ways, right? And each sibling remembers things differently,
mm,
right? And it's like we were right next to each other. How did you not see well, that's not what I saw. I saw this,
uh-huh,
right? But I feel like also that has to do with age, right? The oldest always sees things differently.
right.
The middle one doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, no, I mean, I very much feel at times, and again, I knew my parents loved me, and it's funny because the fact that I have the chip on my shoulder and love it,
Hmm.
never feel like I'm good enough. Well, it's not, uh, you know, it's not something that my parents did. My parents were like, "You're a prince. You're our prince. My sister's the princess." And
Hmm.
if I was, back in the days before GPS and whatever, the random McNally maps, and my dad would have me sit in the van next to him and whatever, and I'd be his co-pilot. I was, that was what it was, right? So
Right.
you would even like, how the fuck do you have it? Like, you got everything. Why do you have this chip on the shoulder? But I was very much the fucking, crash test dummy. I was the one where my parents were trying to figure out their parenting styles.
At
Where
home.
they would. It's weird because they refined their parenting styles by the time my sister comes along, but also their relationship, they being my parents, relationships were kind of coming apart. So where I remember my parents somewhat happy and together, my sister doesn't necessarily remember
Any of
that
that.
time. Yeah,
Yeah. That's wild.
yeah, and it's
That's super
and to
wild.
me, and it's funny because you know everybody, the favorites and everything, and especially in certain cultures, right, like
Hmm.
siblings with the same parents, and this has tripped me out since I moved to Inglewood. But and I think you and Joey were kind of the first people that I heard kind of say it, but like you guys were like my mom, my dad. I'm like, but don't you guys have the same
I
parents?
know. So when Jason and I first started it, he was like, "What do you mean, my mom? Isn't that your mom? Is it the same mom? Did you guys have the same mom? It's the same mom. Why do you say my mom?" And I'm like, I have no idea. I've never noticed it. I always say my dad. Like Joe will call me and he'll say, "Oh, how's dad? How's my dad doing? Oh, he's fine." Right? I don't know where it comes from. I've never not said my mom, my dad. And then it was weird to my husband because he's like, "You guys are the same fucking parent.
Mm-hmm. Oh
It's the
no,
same
it
fucking person."
it was to me fucking 15, 17 years ago when I'm sitting at you guys' breakfast table and I'm getting tortas, which I had never had a torta in my life before that. And I'm
Hmm.
getting a fucking torta, and you guys who as best I knew it, had the same parents. It was like my mom. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah.
So, but
My mom. My
yeah,
mom said, all right, my mom said,
yeah.
it's hilarious.
Micmac says it comes from The Wizard. That Seinfeld episode, uh, epi-
9.
episode 9.
No, season
Wait,
9,
season 9,
episode
episode 10.
15.
I feel
Episode
like it's a
15. Where do you see
Micmac.
10?
Micmac is the man. He's a fucking man. He's a fucking motherfucking man, man. And that's the one where Kramer moves to Florida and retires. Okay, was that before or after the Kenny Rogers sign incident? Micmac, you're gonna have to get back to me on that one. Um, no, but yeah, it's weird. Relationships of any ilk um, are weird, right? They don't make sense, but you kind of have to be there. You know, it's
Right.
like an experience, right? Like you can tell somebody about being on fucking Splash Mountain and then what you felt and whatever, and you could be a laureate, you know, a public speaker. You could have 8 TED talks in your name, under your belt and whatever. But it's not. It's going to pale into comparison of actually being on the ride, feeling the water and everything. And it's one of those things that, in certain aspects, I think you gotta have to be there to get it. You know,
Right.
it's like that Apple Jacks deal. You know, like oh, doesn't taste like fucking apple. I don't know. We like eat what we like. It doesn't have to make sense. My mom, my dad, like using your parents in the third person, theoretically speaking. That's like some fucking Dwayne the Rock Johnson shit.
Right.
The Rock says, well, my mom says, my dad says, like, well, okay, I
I
guess.
wonder if anyone else does that.
Oh no, there's many.
Like,
I feel like
like
if
Hispanics
you're,
are the worst at it, but
yeah, if your family origins are from Mexico up until Brazil, I feel that section of the world it's prevalent. I'm not saying all of them, but I'm saying I've heard obviously Salvis. I've heard Mexicans. I've heard Colombians and
same my
Belizeans. Belizeans. I've had some Belizean friends. They're like, yeah, my mom. I'm like, what is going on here? But again, all relationship because your parents
mom.
didn't
Did you
say
say mom said XYZ?
yeah, but you know what? It's
Dad
also
said
yeah. I mean,
dad like
that's the way that
that's how you started the conversation. I don't know because it's weird, right? Like I would say my mom said to go do the dishes. Do you say mom said to go
yeah,
do the dishes?
100% without even thinking about it.
See, so mom said to go do the dishes.
Yeah,
I'd be like, what do you mean my mom said to
yeah, yeah. But it's also cultural, right? And it's funny because half black, half Melanesian. Apparently, Fiji is Melanesia, not Polynesian.
Mhm.
So, and but being half Islander, you would think that I would, and my dad, being born in America, my dad from the Midwest in America, American black and what have you, that I would have gravitated to the blacks, but I was raised more around my mom's family, right? The Islander side. And it's so funny because Latin cultures and island cultures are a lot alike.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
like, you know, like plantanos, I knew that because we had that, but we didn't call them plantanos, right? Or yuca, we call that dalo, and we have it with our curry and whatever,
But
like
I think that's indicative of being in an island, right? Because that's what you have in islands.
well, yeah, but also like you know, um, in a lot of island culture, there's a large, especially the ones that were overtaken by Britain
Spanish.
because well there's some that are Spanish and then there's some that are French and then
Mhm.
some that are British, right?
Right.
And then there's like the weird ones like Guam and Samoa, which are American, which
Right.
that's only been within the last 100 200 years, but we're talking about like almost thousands of years, not
Right.
thousands of years, but definitely maybe over 300 years, right? Where, the British monarchy, took over like Fiji and places like that. But, there would be indentured servants, right? And, from Ireland, from Australia, from, and the West Indies, as well as India and Pakistan, right? So I grew up with a lot of curry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what do you call the bread uh, that you have with curry? Do you know?
Tortilla part.
Yeah, it's either naan or roti. Okay, so when people, I would go over to my friends who you came from, you know, primarily Spanish speaking households, right? Spanish first, English second, right? And English, English as a second language. When we were like, oh, here, this is my mom, mi mama, and mi tia Rosa, and I'd be like, oh, tia Rosa, and they were like, you could do the, and I was like, I've been doing the my
You can
entire
roll your
life.
R's.
Yeah, it's that's a great gateway to kind of like I know enough Spanish that and don't call me out on it, but like I feel like if I were dropped, like if there was like an amazing race type scenario, and I
Yeah.
had to go to Arena Mexico, right, for a CMLL show, like to watch Lucha Libre, because that's what the mission would be for me, right?
Right.
Like if I had to go to Arena Mexico in Mexico City, and I have to get there using my fucking Spanish, I feel like I can get there.
I would probably lose.
Okay. Ooh. Okay.
Mainly because my Spanish is not great. And if you
Oh,
ask
okay.
my brothers would be like, "You talk Spanish like a white girl." Whatever. It's fine. It is what it is. I have
Wow.
to like speak it for a while so that the accent goes away and then I sound
Mm.
like I'm Hispanic. But for the most part, my Spanish isn't great. But
Good.
it's funny that we were talking about all these different countries, different spaces, because we went out for drinks with a girlfriend of mine 2 weeks ago, a week ago, and she's single. I'm wearing my wedding ring. Like I'm, I'm not here for what I'm here for a drink, and I'm the back. I'm just here for her, right? So this guy starts talking to me. We start having a conversation. He says, "Are you married?" Yes. "Do you have kids?" Yes. His next question was from the same person. I was like, "What?" Oh no, he said, "Are they your husbands?" I'm like, "What the fuck?" Yes, bro, they're my husband. And then he proceeded to say, "Now, this is someone hitting on you, right?" He says, "You need to tan." I was like, "Excuse me, what the fuck? Excuse me?" He's like, "You need to tan. You're too light, right?" And then I said, I don't tan. Like I'm always in the sun, but I don't tan." And my friend goes, "She's always in the sun. I've watched her." And he says, "Oh, so your Spanish is showing, and it came out, huh?" I'm like, "Actually, yes, we are Spaniard, and we were in the Spanish colonies. So yes, I am the lighter shade of brown." He's like,
Wow.
"Cool." And then so I'm telling my brother this, and my brother's like, "That's how guys hit on girls nowadays." I'm like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, yeah, and it makes total sense. Like we're if you're a certain age, right? You're kind of you're we're the kids of the latchkey kids, right? The fucking first generation of people, and that's assuming that you're not first generation itself or whatever. But if you've lived in America, if your family kind of your family dynamic, grew up in America for at least a generation, right?
Huh?
Theoretically speaking, we're the kids of latchkey kids, the first generation who were able to just, be at home. Your mom or your dad gives you the key because they're both working,
Right.
right? And you just whatever. And what we were fucking watching. We were watching Power Rangers, yeah, but we were also watching Jerry Springer and Maury, right? So that
Right.
doesn't, yeah. With that context, when somebody's asking, like, okay, you've got kids, oh, and they're the same person, that doesn't seem all that odd to me. Knowing
That felt really rude.
that,
And then I
why,
was and then I was like, I don't know if my kids are supposed to be from someone too
I
different.
don't. I mean,
I mean, I get it, right? People have multiple kids, different parents. It's a very accurate question.
I don't.
It's a very common question. It was just the way it was asked. It was like, "Are you married? Yes. Do you have kids? Yes. Are they your husbands? The fuck? Yes."
That doesn't. I've been out of the dating pool proudly. I don't even think I fucking was in the pool. Like I went from one relationship to the other.
We did
I mean,
too.
yeah, and before that, I didn't date at all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty much the
so
same.
yeah, so it's weird. So I don't
I was like,
know.
this is weird.
It doesn't, but like I said, like given the context, right? Like you know, probably was like us watching fucking Power Rangers and Jerry
Yeah, because
Springer.
actually the guy said he was. First he said, "How old are you?" I said, "Oh, I'm 42." He's like, I said, "Well, how old are you?" He said, 46. What the fuck are you older than I am? What the
It's only
fuck?
4 years. It's only four
I'm like, "Do
years.
you want me to say 25?"
I kind of feel like he did, and I
Right?
don't. But
No,
I don't even know what that's about, man.
I
Like,
don't look
yeah,
42, and
yeah,
so I get it. It's fine.
yeah. There you go.
But but it was fucking hilarious because every question was like, it made me question myself. And I was like, is this what people do now? Like,
I
what
can't even.
happened?
There's a, and I don't even want to, kind of like, and this is probably why, I can't keep friends. But not to say I get judgy, but I'm a language person, right? And especially because my mom got like treated horribly
Hmm.
when she came over in '82, right? Because she didn't speak English. But
Right.
you know what my mom spoke? English, like the way they do in England. But it was an
Uh,
American English and whatever.
it was
So, right. So I can only imagine if you didn't speak any form or alliteration of English, right, coming to this country.
hmm
If you speak Farsi, if you speak Spanish, if you speak, like, Mandarin or whatever, holy fucking shit. Because my mom got all types of shit to the
yeah.
extent where she didn't teach us any Fijian, right? Me and my sister. She's like, "You're in America. Your dad's American. He was in the army. Whatever. You guys are American." Like, the little like kind of glimmers of accent that I would show. I couldn't show in front of my mom because she would have fucking backhanded me for sounding
And
like
see,
I was Fijian.
I've never had an accent, so
Mm,
people don't think I'm Hispanic. So they're like,
mm,
"You're Hispanic?
mm.
What the fuck did you think I was?"
Yeah. Also, I mean, I do live in a town that is, I mean, a lot of brown people, but not a lot of Spanish speakers.
Yeah, see, like
So you might like I mean, but also the things that most people have, said like, oh, you look like my friend, and my friend's from Cuba or Puerto Rico or
right,
like Belizean or whatever. Like those are the things that I get.
yeah,
Mm, or Jamaican. Always get Jamaican, but never get the other islands under the
see,
equator.
I get, are you white? No, not white. From anyone that's not Hispanic.
Mm.
And and if it's someone that's Hispanic, like I've heard people say my name, Claudia Wade,
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh, that's me. I'm Claudia Wade. Oh, you mean Claudia Wade? What am I saying? I said Claudia. Same shit. Do you want me to say Claudia? Like the way you said it? It's the same fucking shit, people.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that's also kind of that's definitely a culture thing, right? Because like,
Yeah. Like you have to emphasize my name is Spanish
well, like
so
even
that
mine.
you can know so that you reminded me that I'm Hispanic.
Hmm.
Right. That's how I
Yeah,
feel
but
like
I
the
don't.
reason they do it is to remind you that you're Hispanic. And then the I don't know how to pronounce your name because it's not like Rodriguez, right? It's Wade. Like what? It's, it's dumb.
I can see it stings. Oh, Mick Mac says Fiji got in trouble for leaving snorkels behind lately and not doing a head count. Uh, and then the guy who discovered Australia got killed by Hawaiian Islanders. That is true, but this story doesn't surprise me at all. Because do you know about the Polynesian Melanesian islands in their culture pre Christianity? Do you know?
No.
Are you familiar? We're cannibals, and Fiji was the worst. Actually, one of my favorite Fijian stories is the I believe it might have been Cook, James Cook, right? The first time he came to Fiji, it was okay, like it was cool, right? The second time he comes with, and this time he brings missionaries, right? And I don't. Cook might have not actually been on the island, but it was like the missionaries, right? And you know what we have heard and maybe kind of been bastardized on what happened in the first Thanksgiving, right? Of like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, the pilgrims and the natives, they were all one and they had whatever right before the raping and pillaging began, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. So, kind of that, right? But, the missionaries got chummy with the chiefs and everything like that and the people. And one thing that you don't do with any islander, and this is, I feel like it's good housekeeping, but I also feel like it's common sense, but common sense is subjective. But one of the things that you don't do with a Polynesian man, a Polynesian or Melanesian specifically, but like a man as well, is you never touch the head, the top of the head, because that is almost like their crown, like unspoken crown, whatever, right? So uh, the missionaries were doped up in this thing that we have kava. It's a ground up root mixed with water. It looks like dirty water. It's whatever, but it's a ceremonial deal,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they were doped up, just completely blitz. And the missionary cozies up to the chief and pats his hair in front of everyone. Well, what ends up happening is it took, I think it was 5 days to boil the people, 7 days to boil the leather on their boots. Eighth day they feasted, and that's my favorite Fijian story. So that doesn't surprise me that we left somebody behind. Doesn't surprise me at all.
The fuck?
Yeah. Oh, hey, just as I said. Yep, they tried to kidnap the chief. Yep, that sounds about right. There you go. I mean, and it's funny, like Captain Cook. No, that 100%. Yeah, Captain Cook. He tried to kidnap the Hawaiian chief. Yep, that was it. You know, and that's why, like,
Wow.
not to get all like faith and everything. Believe what you believe, people. Like, kudos to you. I'm not gonna whatever, but I'm surprised. Like, Fiji specifically. I can't speak for the other islands, but they're very faithy people,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which I don't get because like you honor your traditions, but this is very non-traditional. Like this wasn't a part of us until we got, for somehow, some way, raped and pillaged as well, much like the natives here in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't just the U.S. It was Aborigines in Australia. It was the Maoris in New Zealand. So it's not. the Africans, right? When,
Right.
yeah, like it's not a new theory, you know, that whenever the Europeans were conquerors, the Spanish were
Mhm.
conquerors. That's how it was, you know.
Yeah.
But not to say that any other culture didn't have their own deal. Like I think it's like Under the Killing Moon, where like everybody has this kind of like, oh, all of the natives, they hunted together and they loved each
Hmm.
other, and it was like cool, and they, you know, whatever. It's like, nah, look up the history of the Comanches. Those are the rape and pillagers amongst the native people, right? Like, you know,
Yeah.
everybody has that in them. So I don't know,
Everyone
and
has their
maybe,
own history.
yeah, 100%, and maybe that's the reason why we're all screwed up, and more people need more out of relationships, and people, some people don't need as much. It's like, fucking leave me alone, and I'll see you when I see you. Like, maybe that's because like there was a missionary that said they were going to come back for them and whatever, and
And
never
never
came
come
back,
back.
and they were, so my line of family was just like, ah, fuck, whatever. If I see you, I'll see you. If I don't, I don't.
Huh. That's hilarious.
It is. It could be a thing. That's it. That's it's gonna be the conspiracy theory. Uh,
Definitely.
yeah. But Claudia, where can they find you on the socials?
Um, on Instagram at CC272. It's right there. Right there.
There you go.
So
People
I'm
are
on
gonna try.
Instagram.
People are gonna try and convince you to do a Twitter. I'm just saying that might happen.
Oh, wait a minute. I do have a Twitter. Hold on. I just don't know what it is. So
Yes, 1776 they settled here, and 1788. See, us again.
super
And
historic. I am horrible with anything.
oof.
Um, at hugs for UMCC.
Wait, at Hugs. Let me. I'm gonna look in the Twitter machine and see if that is true. You said
Yeah.
Hugs. Is it HUG
UGS.
HUS?
HUGS.
Okay, UGGS.
No.
And is it like four?
For UMCC. Hold on. How can I change this? Let's see.
And the letter U?
At Twitter. That's my Twitter.
DM me. DM me with that page so I can follow you.
It's right there.
And
At hugs from CC. See?
at Hugs from CC. Wait, let me see.
For
Uh,
UMCC. You see it?
oh wow! Look at you with the typing fingers. I'm not
Ooh.
that. Like, I just try to copy and paste, and I just realized that it's the name card. I'm an idiot.
So you can find me on Twitter at hugs from CC or Instagram at CC272.
Heck yeah, right. And I'm according to Woods. Literally, that's it. Like Snapchat, Instagram,
Yeah,
Facebook,
that's what I need to do.
Twitter.
I need to make my Instagram, my Twitter, and whatever, my TikTok,
Yeah, yeah.
whatever it
It's
is one name.
just one, and get a link tree. Those things are free, and you put the links to the thing, and then you put it in the bio, and the fucking. It's something that it's a skill that I acquired during the pandemic. I kind of figured it
Yeah.
out, and I think even on Twitter, I'm Adam K Woods, but if you put in the according to Woods, my face comes up there. At least a cartoon version of my face, not my actual face. So there you go.
Yeah.
But
So I think that's what I'm gonna change my Twitter to CC at one point.
okay. And
So
watch Rabbit Proof Fence. Is that a Bray Wyatt reference? The White Rabbit and him appearing at Extreme Rules, which I fucking dig this whole thing. I absolutely love it, and especially, I don't know if I have it, but my so Claudia, do you know about what's going on with the? A lot of people are hypothesizing the fact that it's good. It's Bray Wyatt, but on WWE, it's not even on TV, or it didn't start on TV. But like
it's on
whenever they went to
TikTok now.
commercial, whenever they went to commercial, the last month or so, they played Jefferson Airplane's White Rabbit. the song, right, from the
Hmm.
1960s, or yeah, late 60s, early 70s, right?
I haven't
And
seen WWE since Stone Cold Steve Austin left.
okay, ooh,
I
all right,
think.
okay, that's fair, that's fair. But
Think.
there's there's the guy Bray Wyatt,
Hmm.
and
Actually, I do love Bray Wyatt. I
yeah,
love his character when he came in.
yeah, no,
Think
no,
now it's different, right?
well, he got released in 2020
Uh huh.
during the pandemic, which people are like, "What the fuck? Well, how do you release
He's
that
married
guy?"
to JoJo.
Yes, JoJo. Yes,
Yeah.
and his dad. Well, his uncle is Barry Windham. His grandfather is Blackjack Mulligan, and his dad is IRS. That is Wyndham Rotunda. But he got released. He's been out, hasn't made any wrestling appearances for the last, since his release. But
Hmm.
the WWE has been doing some kind of cool things where they play White Rabbit, by Jefferson Airplane. There's QR codes that are showing up in segments, and it's like little red herrings and everything like that. I love what they're doing. But I'm
Hmm.
hoping that the watch rabbit proof fence. I hope that's a
What
Bray
is
Wyatt
that?
reference. Actually, he said, "Oh, it's a bit of Australian history that
Yeah.
the Captain Cook they kidnapped the Aboriginal kids in 1920, called the Stolen Generation, and it was the longest fence in the world." Oh,
Where do
I'm
you
gonna
watch
get.
it at?
Oh, I'm gonna put it in the Google machine. Fuck all that shit. And especially, they just had the Orange
Um,
Shirt Day, which
um,
has, you know, just a quick summary. I didn't even know this was a thing until one of my friends posted something, and then me and the wife went down the proverbial rabbit hole of what it was. But essentially, Orange Shirt Day is a particular day of the year. It mostly celebrated in Canada, but it is the world over. But um, where you wear an orange shirt, and it signifies a lot of the and forgive me not knowing the terminology, but basically the schools that they sent all of the native kids. In Australia's case, it was Aboriginal. New
mhm.
Zealand's case, it was the Maoris, and over here was the native. You
Right.
know, but they sent them and stripped away all their culture, took them away from their
Hmm.
families, raped and pillaged, same thing, and forced their belief system on them. But it was one particular instance where um, I believe a little girl, like there's some significance of an orange shirt in this little girl that was affected by all of these atrocities around her.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I've in the last week or so I've gotten really kind of honed into to that aspect of our history, and a history that we weren't taught. So I'm definitely going to check out the the rabbit proof fence. So thank you for that. Oh
No, I just
yes.
saw it. You can watch it on Amazon Prime or Google Play.
Okay, that's what I'm going to do. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm according to the woods. Cheese hugs for CC, or what is the other one? The Instagram.
Hugs from CC or at CC272.
There you go. The Osgrove. No, thank you for putting us in the awareness realm. So thank you, McMac.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
but thank you guys for joining us here. And we'll be back next week with the episode 3 of Woods and Wade podcast. I think it should be Wade and Woods, but she convinced me otherwise. It's a working title here.
It's a work in progress.
Yes. And the missus says, "Have a good night. Love the episode." Aww.
Thank you.
Thank you. McBack, you're awesome. We'll see you tomorrow on, after 83 weeks. And you guys are awesome. So thank you guys. We are out.